Okay, welcome back to Rooted and Rising. I'm really excited because today's guest is someone I think I've known for decades. So his younger brother and I were in the same grade back in high school in Nigeria. But I want to say that over the years, he and I have kind of gotten closer. That's me and my guest. And I don't know, maybe I kind of see you as a big brother now in some ways. I think you're wise. Calm down, wait. I think you're wise. I think he's grounded and he always brings, thoughtful perspective to any conversation. So I'm really excited to have you on the podcast. Welcome, Emeka.
Thank you. Thank you for also
Okay.
reminding me that I'm older. Thank you.
Of course, I have to do that. So do you want to introduce yourself to the audience?
Hi, my name's Emeka Amaraegbeni. I'm Nigerian, as she has politely pointed out. Moved to the Netherlands about 8, 9 months ago. But
Oh
before that,
wow.
yeah, but before that, life, school, travels, Nigeria, the UK, and back, and then back into Europe again.
Mm.
So it's been quite a journey. It's been fun.
I didn't know you've been in the Netherlands for that long. Wow. Okay, we'll talk about that. But let's start from the beginning. So what hospital were you born in? Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Let's start.
I do have those details.
I mean, what was growing up in Lagos like? I think we both, you were born in Lagos, right?
Yes, I was born in
Okay.
Lagos.
So what was like growing up like for you?
Well, I mean, with growing up in Lagos, there's the school part of it, there's the life part of it.
Mm.
But in general, Lagos has always been I mean, everybody knows that Lagos is the fun capital of the country, pretty much.
Yeah.
So as a kid, you have your regular school days, you have your friends that you hook up with after, you have playing football, you have breaking tons of stuff, getting into trouble, getting grounded.
Sounds like a very destructive child.
Getting grounded. Then you have the school part of it. You have to get the good grades, so you get nice presents during Christmas and your birthday.
Mm.
I mean, we all know the average Nigerian parent, at least from our time when we're younger. It was really competitive. The whole
Mm.
idea was, get good grades, make something of yourself, so you don't end up like some guy that they point out to you on the road who's having a drink by 12 o'clock with nothing to do.
Yeah.
Y- Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting journey,
Okay.
and yeah.
Okay, cool, cool. So I guess maybe I'll thinking about the first maybe memory of you that I have is I remember you transferred into the like our high school, right? Like you didn't start at
Yeah.
the beginning.
Not this. So I came in the first year of senior secondary school.
Okay, yeah. So I remember you transferring. I remember like people were like, "Oh, that's Chigazi's older brother," blah blah blah. And I remember like you just seemed really quiet.
Yeah.
And I guess can you maybe talk about like maybe why did you guys transfer or why did you transfer and just some of the things that happened around that time?
Okay. I think with me transferring, because I was in the international school in Ibadan, which
Hmm.
was about, I don't know, 2 hours away. And my mom being the homebody she never really wanted me to school so far away from home. But
Hmm.
my dad thought it would be good for character. Yeah. So I did the first 4 years there actually.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then after my fourth year, actually, I think there was an issue in the school. There's like a strike or something because
Hmm.
those are kind of regular back then, and I think they grounded the school and nobody could leave for about a week or 2 weeks. So I think my mom was freaking out, and my dad, finally agreed to bend the knee on that one. So I'm on vacation in the US, funny enough. And then my mom's like, "Oh, yeah, you're changing schools." And I'm looking at her, I'm like, "What the hell do you mean? I've got like 2 years to go. Like, these are my people." And then I get back to Nigeria, and then they take me to Gazier School,
Yeah.
uh, school Lagos. And then we're having a chat with the principal, and the principal's like, "No, we don't allow anybody to transfer
Yeah,
into,
because that's like so late.
yeah, like the second year of because I'd already finished my SS1.
Oh, so you had to go back.
So
Okay.
we were trying to pitch for me to go to like the same level as
That's
my mates,
like which would
but he's,
be, I guess, if you do the American equivalent would be 11th grade of high school. Yeah.
yeah, but he's like, nah, everybody who comes over needs to step back here. So I have this big conference talk with my parents, and everybody's trying to say, it's not such a bad thing, you're young. Because I mean, in international school, but I kind of was the youngest in my class because
Mm, yeah.
I got into school like really, really early. So my
Yeah.
parents were like, it's just a year. You were the youngest in your class anyway. It doesn't make a big
Yeah. So now
difference. You
you're
get
kind of catching up with everyone else.
exactly. So I come back and then, there I am, SS1 in a brand new school. The good part of it for me was that a couple of my mates had moved into the school after our what's junior secondary and the American Standard.
It's junior high school, yeah. So,
Yeah,
mhm.
so yeah, a couple of my mates had already moved to the school after junior high school.
Okay,
So
okay.
when I came in, they were all a year ahead. So
Oh, okay. So
the first,
you already had friends that were like in
yeah, higher grade. So like the first 1 or 2 weeks was just trying to figure out, okay, what's this place like? What's the social hierarchy? How does stuff work here?
serious social hierarchy. Let's not even get into that. Okay. Yeah. Okay,
and
cool,
then
cool. So was
the,
your so I guess you grew up with both your parents, I'm assuming. So who would you
yeah.
say you were closer to as a child?
I mean, definitely my mother. She was
Mhm.
the more fun parent.
Mhm.
My dad's a serious guy. You know,
Mhm.
he loves his books. He's that guy that would go on holiday and spend his whole holiday in his hotel room. That's my dad. He's always liked his
Wow.
peace and quiet.
Yeah.
While my mom was the more rambunctious one. She's one who's always outside. She's always got something to do every weekend. And it was a bit funny because we'd always have these clashes about you're always out so late, and then I look at her I'm like, I wonder where I got that from.
Yeah. Mm. Okay.
I think I remember this one time I went partying with my friends and I got back by like 11. No, it's my curfew was 7.
Okay. And how old were you?
I was like, what, 14, 15?
14. And you came back at 11. Very good. Okay.
You know,
Continue.
my grandma was around, and
Okay.
my mom's supposed plan was to leave me outside till the next morning, but my grandma talked her out of it and brought me inside. And then my mom's there giving me a scolding, and then my grandma looks at her and she's like, this is really your kid because he's what he used to do. And my mom is there. She just frowns and goes to bed. And my grandma looks at me. She's like, "Oh, you're still grounded, but well,
Yeah.
at least now we know where you got that from."
Mhm.
So yeah, so that was funny. So yeah, so my mom was a fun. So she's more of the fun parent.
Okay, cool. And kind of shifting into that then. I remember when like I don't know what class we were in, and I remember them coming in and like taking your brother and talking about that your mom had passed away.
Yeah.
So what was that like, maybe share a little bit about that and what was that like for you?
Uh, to be honest, I think that a lot of emotion. I think we'll,
Mhm.
we'll start with that. I think it was a cross between little aspects of regret in terms
Mhm.
of, in quotes, what my little mind thought I could have done better back then. It was also the path of, okay, what do I do now? Because I mean, as a kid, the truth is, I mean, our parents will pass away. It's kind of normal. It's gonna happen. The hope is that it happens when you're
A
ready
little
for it,
older, ready
when
to
you're
deal
older,
with it.
ready for it, and you have more life distractions to help you cope with it.
All right.
But I mean, as a 16-year-old who just finished my SATs, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, we're gonna go to uni and do my
Mhm.
mother, and then she passes away. So I think for the first couple of months, I was just blank, to be honest, because how do you process that?
What did you have time? Like, was she sick or like did you have a little bit of time? I don't know.
Actually, no. I mean, a year or two before, she'd had cancer, but she beat that.
Okay.
So, I mean, it was like so fast. It was like 3, 4 days, supposedly. She had
Oh,
malaria, and then 4 days later, then boom. So you can't even attribute it in quotes to the cancer, so to speak. I mean, medically, we do know all of that, the whole immune system, yeah, 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 and
yeah.
all that. But
Yeah.
it was so fast because it was like if that happened in that space, it,
Mhm.
it wouldn't have hurt any less, but it would have been more practical.
Yeah, that's true. Because that's why I was asking if you had time to like process, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
but it happened so quickly. It's like
Mhm.
okay, you start asking yourself questions. You're filled with, I don't know, you could call it guilt. You ask
Yeah.
yourself, should I have known? Would I have known? Should I have prayed
Yeah.
more? Should I
And
have sat?
you're the older one. It's just two of you, right? So you were older,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, just both of us. So you ask yourself all those questions.
Mhm. Mhm. So you were 16, and I guess I'm gonna say that's a formative time, like it's teenage years. You're kind of trying to have a good time and just enjoy being a teenager, and then this happens. So how do you think that experience shaped you, whether it's emotionally, mentally, just for the future?
I think at the time, it kind of instilled this idea that I had to prove that I was enough, that I had to prove
Mhm.
that whatever hopes, ambitions, plans she had for me were not in vain. It's put a lot of pressure, or rather, no, I put a lot of pressure on myself because I felt I had to make it right, make it count. And that's where the aspect of the guilt around it comes into play. I
Okay.
mean, I'm older now, I can process it. Hell,
Yeah.
I couldn't have done anything. But
Yeah.
at that point in time, it's just a blur. You don't know what to do, you don't know what to say, you don't know how to handle it. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's easier to address tragedy when you're prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're not, there are so many open spaces that you can't fill with logic because there is no logic to process in that space.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So those were the emotions I felt. That was how I think it was for me for almost 5, 10 years after she passed. I felt I had to make it right. I had to justify something. I
I
couldn't
see.
even tell you what it was.
That's interesting. Do you think that so with her like, passing and then you had your dad and your younger brother, what did you guys' relationship, did it change y'all's relationship because she was no longer there?
No, I think with my dad, one of the last things I know she said to me and it stuck with me over time as I've grown older.
Mm,
She's like, "Your dad is your dad. He has his peculiarities, and it's the way he's always been. Probably will be the way he always will be. And you need to learn to love him at his level.
okay.
You can't you can't compare parents. You can't equate one to the other. Everybody has a different function, so to speak, and the lessons they will teach you will be different. So you can't use the method that A would use for B, and you need
Hmm.
to be okay with it. So,
Yeah.
so with my dad, who was always this, senior, distant, demanding figure,
Yeah.
I had,
I feel like that's like Nigerian, maybe not now, but back then Nigerian dads are like newspaper, stay at home.
yeah,
When daddy's coming home, you gotta turn off the TV and make sure everything is clean.
yeah, you get, I mean, and that kind of like as a child growing up from back then, it kind of puts a performance bias on you.
Mhm.
You tend to not feel worthy if you don't do something equal he can be proud of.
Mm.
Your moms are the ones who try to help you understand that life has its ebbs and flows.
Right, right.
They will push you, but they also make space for you to recognize when things don't go okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So in terms of my relationship with him, those are things I had to figure out, or I have had to figure out over the years. It's still a journey, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah.
I think with my brother, I became a bit more protective. I mean, when my mom was around, I was like, "Yeah, go talk to your mother," you
Figure it
know.
out, buddy.
Yeah, figure it out, But as when she passed, I think I felt a lot more responsibility
Yeah, yeah.
for him, so to
Okay.
speak, because he and her, I mean, me and my mother were really close, but I think she was like his baby. So
Yeah,
I think it hits him in a peculiar type of way.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I felt that it was my job to fill that gap.
yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. So at least, so it sounds like you and your brother got probably closer after she passed, but then you and your dad was still trying to figure out you know,
Those
uh,
spots.
those spots. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So understandable. So considering like, obviously the grief that you dealt with, would you think about going to therapy? And yeah,
I I think it's necessary. I think, to be honest, how I feel about where I think I'm on my journey is a bit immaterial. I think when everybody experiences a life-changing circumstance, it's lovely to have your community around you to ground you, to hold your hand, to walk you through it. But ultimately, a time comes when you have to talk about it,
yeah,
because it's easy to do the stereotypical man thing and just say, it happened, I was sad, and it's just this deep-rooted, burning thing at the back of your head and a place you never visit because you think if you do, it makes you weak. But ultimately, I think it's a conversation you need to have because one thing I have observed is that even as guys, we never really allow ourselves to go through the full stages of grief. We
Yeah.
skip it, we skip a few steps, either because somebody says, you have to be strong for every other person, you can't let it slow you down, you have to focus on your focus. And as good intentioned as these suggestions are,
Mhm.
but there usually tends to be just this little cube of feelings that you just keep locked somewhere and hope that before you die, nobody figures out how to break the lock so it doesn't just come pouring out and
Mm.
you become out of character.
Yeah, like you can't close it down kind of thing.
Exactly. So I think it's necessary. I think it's something everybody who goes through a life-changing tragedy should
You just
participate
have
in.
to keep having.
Not, yeah, not necessarily because they want somebody to tell them what to do, but sometimes I guess that's probably why I used to enjoy writing so much because it gave me an outlet to properly articulate how I felt
Okay.
about certain things. Because really, if you can't put a word to a feeling, then how do you know what you're feeling?
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
It's kind of like math. If you can't define what you're trying to solve, then how do you get to the answer?
Yeah. So just thinking about what you're saying now and how, people tell you to kind of move on, is that what you were told at the time?
Oh,
And
absolutely.
kind of like what were the days and months following that? Was it just kind of like a blur, or was it just a very much like let's move on with life?
I mean, it was a blur for me because the outcome I'd always get was, you're a guy, you have to be strong for everybody, you have a little brother to worry about. So it was so much more focused on making sure excuse my French, every other person didn't fall apart,
Hmm.
right? I'm very little focus on making sure I was okay,
I see. I see.
so. But then again, you can't knock people for what they don't know. That's also part of the things I've learned. People will only offer support or help to the best of their knowledge of how to handle certain circumstances. If they don't know better, then they really can't give you what they don't have.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Okay.
Yeah.
Understandable. So let's shift a little bit. So that happened 16, you kind of maybe finished high school, start college, I'm assuming. Let's talk about just, like you just said you're in Amsterdam. So let's talk about how did you get into your career?
Well, to take us back to the earlier aspect of feeling the need to perform.
Mhm.
So my mom had this dream of me, go do chemical engineering, Nigeria makes oil, position yourself, and da da da. And I did do chemical engineering.
So you actually did the chemical engineering because your mom had said she wanted you to do that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Would you
And
have
even
done it if she didn't pass away?
I think I probably would have allowed myself to look for something else I found a bit more interesting. Not that I have any regrets for studying chemical engineering. I mean, it was fun, right?
Mhm.
But I think the day I kind of realized that engineering as a lifetime choice probably didn't hold the same degree of excitement I thought it would was
Mhm.
the day I got into my school for my master's, like the very
Mhm.
first week, registrations and all stuff. And I caught up with an old friend who was just finishing his program and going home. And
Mhm.
he told me the program he was doing. And I was like, oh, I like that. That sounds much more
Yeah.
fun. I'd
Yeah.
much rather do that. And I strolled to the registrar like, oh, hi, I'd like to change my major.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And he's like, that's not possible.
Really? Wait,
So
this is for your master's, right?
yeah, my
Okay.
master's, yeah. And then I'm like, okay, fine. I have to tough it out for a year.
Hmm.
At that point, I kind of knew that, okay, I really don't want to do something engineering based for life. I mean, it's nice to know the formula and all whatnot, but like, I probably would just pull my hair out at a point in time. It doesn't hold
Yeah.
the same level of excitement for me.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. But
and
you
then that
stuck
was,
with it. So you did your undergrad in chemical engineering in Nigeria, right?
yeah,
Okay. And then afterwards you did your master's in
in
the UK.
pipeline engineering in the UK.
In the UK. Okay. So now you don't do the engineering, do you?
No.
Okay. So so what do you do now?
Right now, I work in consumer packaged goods,
In-
specifically the beer industry. And even in that space, I've had times. in the course of my journey where everybody's like, "You did engineering. You should be the one making these products." I'm like, "Nope, nope, nope. I don't want to think about
Interesting.
processes. I don't want to do this. I'd rather sit on the strategy side of things. I don't want to do all the heavy lifting. I'm done."
So is that like logistics, supply chain kind of thing?
Mhm. I mean, supply chain is very broad, but
Yeah.
there is a part of the making the products. It's part of putting it into the packaging. There's
Mhm.
guys who observe the demand, determine what quantities to make, and move
Mhm.
it from the warehouses or the locations to the end customer. So that's the place I sit in currently.
Okay. 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 Interesting. So you work in the beer industry and you live in Amsterdam. We don't need to say who you work for. I think the audience is able to deduce from those things.
Uh,
Um,
yeah,
but first of all, you're a beer drinker. Let's start from there. Like, do you get free beer from your job?
on specific days.
Oh, so it's not you guys drink beer at work.
Yes, we do,
You
actually.
do. So you just sit
Yeah.
around and you just drink it.
No, no, no. But I need to clarify. The beauty of the beer is there's beers without alcohol,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, and there's beers with alcohol. So I could have a beer without alcohol.
Oh,
Does exist?
okay, okay.
You know, because back home, once you say beer, everybody just thinks the alcohol
Yeah,
content. The industry has evolved to the level where you can actually make beers without alcohol, because essentially beers are really about the contents and the taste. The
interesting.
alcohol, the alcohol is just
So
like an added bump.
okay, so that it sounds like something that people typically misunderstand about beer in general. Like for example, in Nigeria, is there non-alcoholic beer? I've never seen it, so I don't know.
There probably is. I hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen it before I left, but I would
Okay.
not be
Because I was gonna say
surprised
Nigerians
if it
ain't drinking no
exists.
non-alcoholic.
Everybody, I mean, there's this joke I caught up with a couple of friends yesterday, and we're laughing that the average Nigerian cannot imagine coming back from work and drinking something that doesn't, what's that word? Give him a buzz.
Yeah, like after all that stress of sitting in traffic and all that. Yeah, no, okay, but no, not that we're promoting alcohol consumption on this podcast. Obviously, everyone do what you want. But in your current career, I guess so far, in your journey, because I remember you before you moved to Amsterdam, you kind of lived in different parts of the country for a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. I
Yeah.
think my journey took me from Lagos to Ibadan to Owerri, back to
Hmm.
Lagos, back to Ibadan, back to Owerri to Enugu. But in the midst of all those different roles, I also had the chance to do a lot of traveling.
Hmm.
So I think I touched about what 15 states. I think at a point in time, I had so many miles. I really actually could buy a ticket without paying.
So you used to fly, like kind of fly across the country, and then you'd always probably go back home to Lagos to see your family, I assume. Yeah.
Yeah, in one of my roles. Yeah, that was a very travel intensive role. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Okay.
almost every other week I was off somewhere.
Interesting. So, what do you think has been the most challenging part of what you do?
I think on the one side, it's learning entire new processes.
Mhm.
It's one thing to study something in school and you jump in quotes into that exact industry. You already
Mhm.
understand the basics. The rest are just structure. But when you're moving into an industry that you didn't academically prepare for,
Yeah.
it has an entire set of rules, set of processes, things you
Mhm.
need to know, ways you need to think. So you can keep on needing to tweak your brain to
Mhm.
adjust to different circumstances, and then you're formally introduced into the world of managers.
Okay.
You know, as a kid or in school, you just know that I'm here to learn. My teacher is God. Whatever they say is right, and I'm a blank slate.
Yeah.
And then you move into corporate, and you realize your manager isn't God, but he's a stakeholder in the journey you want to go on. And
Fair.
then and with school, your teacher tells you what in quotes they want to see.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
At a corporate, they'll tell you where the business wants to go. Not all managers would tell you how they think you can support them to get you to where you want to go
So
to.
you kind of have to figure that out.
You kind of have to figure that
Yeah.
out in some circumstances. I think I've been blessed. I've had really good managers for
Mhm.
80% of my career. So I
Mhm.
haven't spent
Mhm.
a lot of time thinking if I need to throw the book at somebody.
Mhm.
So yeah, but yeah, in the course of the journey, I think that's been the good part. I've had good managers, I've had good teams.
Hmm.
to some really sound people. And I think we've always been able to cultivate a relationship of trust.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, so I think those are the things that would have been interesting in the course of
Okay.
my career so far.
That sounds like, so what's the reward? Like, what's been the most rewarding career moment that you've had so far?
I think that would be 2 roles back. So there's an award for performance for a brewery.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's an award that early in my career, with the location I worked at in, we chased it for 2 years back to back and we didn't win it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was rewarding for everyone as a team to finally win it about in 2023.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was a really, really big one. And it was interesting because at that time, the economics of the country, demand was a bit flaky, exchanges were spiking. So you can imagine still churning out such value and revenue for the business in such a very trying time.
Right. Yeah.
And that was an award that everybody had been rooting for like what, 6, 7, 8 years. So we finally won it. So it was a really,
Well,
so it was a really, really big deal. And I think for me, I was pleased to have been able to win it as a part of the leadership team.
mm-hmm. So
You
was
know,
that motivating for you? Like, did you feel like that was something that motivated you to keep like pushing?
no, I mean, I think work-wise for me, it's always been the case. So, okay, to put it simply, my mentor at work, when I joined like way earlier, he had 3 rules
Mhm.
that he gave me, and he told me that if you can stick to this, you should be fine. There'll be bumps, but you should be fine. And the first one was to be present. Just
Okay.
be there in the moment. Some days you'll like, some days you'll not like, some days you'll ask yourself whether you'd be better off under your
Mhm.
duvet at home sleeping, but be there, enjoy the journey. The second one was keep learning. There's always something new. It's nice to understand the process and maintain the status quo because it makes life less, what's that word, spontaneous. But it's like there's always something new to do, always something new to learn. You need
That's a good
to
one.
uh, you need to allow yourself to experience those things and with all the quirks that they come with. And the last thing he said was learn to pick your battles.
I feel like that's just a lesson for life in general.
Yeah. So like whenever I think about work and my career and I look at everything that has happened, is happening, I'm like, and I think of those 3 rules, like I can see how they play out. So
Mhm.
it just kind of keeps me going. That's if you can handle these three to the best of your ability or whatever help you need, you should
Mhm.
be able to stay grounded. So everything will figure itself out.
So what would you advise, like, because it sounds like you started chemical engineering and you shifted into what you do now. So a lot of, I would say, like, young Nigerian, African, whatever, young people, really, they start with something and then they realize, oh, maybe it's not what I want to be doing. And then they want to shift. So what would your advice be for people that, choose to do that pivot, whether at a young age or older, since you did that?
I think to paraphrase it, there's something my mom once said. She's like, learn to finish things to the end, see them through, but don't be scared to start afresh.
Okay.
And we have this misconception about time generally. There's a lot of stuff on social media telling you, oh, make the days count, make the days count. And as valid as that point of view is, right? You can't make the days count in a place you're unhappy.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's one thing to start a process that you think has a benefit for you, and
Mhm.
also recognize that it may not always be smooth sailing because you're going to have to learn, relearn, and unlearn some things. So the road will get bumpy, and that's fine, but have the fortitude to see it through. But on the flip side, also ask yourself honest questions about your motivations for such a thing, because motivations don't necessarily change, but the expressions of those motivations do. So
So talk about that.
yeah, I mean, you could decide I want to I want to build a car, for example, and that's all you know. I want to build a car, and then you think I like fast cars, so I want to build a fast car. But in
Mm.
the course of the journey, you realize that okay, it's not really about the speed of the car. I want to build a car that could have an accident and not nobody in the car will get hurt.
I
Looking at
see.
that space, the concept remains the same, but the relevance has changed. It's no more about speed. It's not about protection. And if you're going to go into the safety aspect of building such a car,
Mhm.
you're less focused on speed. You're more focused on stability. And eventually you still build a car, but you've gone a different direction
I
from
see.
building a sports car.
That's where the motivation switches.
Switches, yeah. So it's understanding what you think the goal is, but understanding where the application of your supposed purpose in that journey comes into play. So
Interesting.
start it, see it through. But if you realize that I want this, but not this way,
Mhm.
the earlier you walk away and focus on what you're doing, the more time, in quotes, that you save.
I see. I see. That sounds like a lesson in relationships too. To a degree.
You just had to go there.
Okay, no, but okay. Let's talk about your move to Amsterdam actually.
Yeah.
So you moved last year. It sounds like it's a career related move for the most part, but what inspired you to make the move from Nigeria to the Netherlands?
Well, I think to put it very straightforward, I have career goals and ambitions. I have a place where I think it would be nice to get to. Breaking the career journey down, talking to people who are doing things I think I like to do.
Mhm.
Everybody everybody kept on saying the same thing. You need to go test yourself at the global office.
Okay.
That it's okay to be at home. I mean, you'd rise, you'd grow, you'd get all the promotions, that's fun, but you haven't really branched onto something new. You haven't explored. You
Mhm.
haven't experienced a new culture. You haven't exposed to a new way of thinking. So for me, it was purely a career move.
Yeah, yeah. And so leaving, I guess leaving Nigeria, like obviously you left your family behind. Were there any, ladies that were disappointed by your departure?
Well, the most important lady in question is quite chuffed about it. She
Really?
has, yeah, she has been very supportive.
Okay, okay.
So
Well,
yeah,
that's good. I like the chuffed. Who do you think you are? King of England. Okay, so so I went to Amsterdam for the first time last year. And I really loved it. I thought it's a really fun city. But what were your first impressions, I guess, when you first got there? And what do you think has surprised you the most?
first impression, why is the weather so bipolar?
Yeah, I know. It's like snow and then rainy and then yeah.
Yeah,
It's very-
I mean, having lived in the UK, I mean, the UK also has bipolar weather, but with the UK, it's always going to rain. That's like a constant. That's something you can prepare for every single day. But
Mhm.
over here, you could have the sun shining, it's 30 degrees, and then you have 25 km per h winds, and then it's like dropping down to 14, and you're like, what do I wear?
Yeah, yeah.
So that sounds like the very first aspect of the shock, of the culture shock.
hmm
I
hmm
think second of all,
Wait, had you been before you moved? Had you been before?
very briefly, it was like a 1 or 2 day, was a layover actually. It wasn't like I
Oh,
hadn't really, yeah,
layover.
I
Okay.
hadn't like really gone into the city. So this is like the first time I actually come out of the airport, fully explored the city and just been there.
Okay.
Then I think what else shocked me? The variety for food.
Yeah, same actually. Yeah.
Yeah, the variety for food. I mean, I never really saw, I have not really seen much indigenous cuisine.
Like
Yeah,
like you say like Netherlands, like what do Netherlands people eat?
yeah, what do they eat? So I
Yeah.
haven't really seen a lot of like indigenous cuisine. Actually, everywhere I go, there's always a restaurant from a different ethnicity. So there's a variety of tastes, but you
Mhm.
don't you don't really get much of the homegrown taste, so to speak. So I also found that interesting because like other places I've been to, excuse me, other countries I've been to, they have places that celebrate what they eat, where you'll go and see a proper local delicacy,
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
actually a good point. So, have you found Nigerian food in
Oh,
Amsterdam?
oh, absolutely,
Really?
absolutely. I think that's the biggest cash out anyone of African ethnicity can hack if they come here. Just cook, because you have lazy people like me who don't like to
That's
cook.
true. They don't like to. So did you find a restaurant or did you find somebody that knows how that like is like a caterer or something?
Well, I found a caterer, two actually.
Okay. So is it expensive like to order?
If you're going to compare everything to the Naira, yeah, it's expensive. But then again, different country, different economy. So the numbers may look small, but they add up really fast.
Interesting, interesting. Well, at least you have that. So how have you adjusted, I guess, like socially, I mean, professionally, obviously you're in the global office. I'm assuming that will definitely help elevate your career. But how have you adjusted kind of socially, emotionally as well to being there?
I think one thing I've observed here is that I think friendships are a bit more intentional. Back home, we're more social people, so it's easy to vibe. You could go out on a night out and meet somebody you don't know, and you guys will have a blast. Hell, you may not even know the person's name. I mean, there are people I know back home that I don't know their names. I know their nicknames, and they
Yeah.
have their handles on IG. And what we see is like,
Not,
hey,
not
what's
you
up?
don't know their names, but you know their nickname. All right,
I had a
funny.
friend. Yeah, I had a friend that till today there are people who still don't know his government name. I'm one of the few people who actually knows his government name. I know people who do not know his government name. They all
Mhm.
know him by his nickname, and that's his identity.
Interesting. So it's like people that you just maybe you guys met each other that day, followed each other on Instagram, never saw each other again after that day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you run into each other like 6 months out the line. It's like, hey, I remember you, and come hang with us, and that's it. Everybody just carries on as if nothing happened.
But you don't really like know each other, like in that sense.
Well, from the Nigerian point of view, if I've hung out with you once, twice, thrice, and we know the same people, we know
That's
each
my
other.
guy.
That's my
Yeah.
guy. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll
Okay.
figure it out. Yeah. But
Yeah.
over here, friendships are a bit more intentional.
Hmm.
I think back home, we except somebody is really considered your friend or an intimate part of your circle, we don't really try to go deep into your story back home. But over here, people will ask you very personal questions. It's part of the bonding ritual. You can decide to answer, you can decide not to answer, but
Hmm.
ultimately your response defines or determines how deep your relationship will go or grow. And and for the most part, they're a bit more individualistic here. Everybody tends to keep to their own little coterie. So if you're welcomed into the group, then it expands. So some days, depending on how it is, it may get lonely. I mean, fortunately for me, I have a bunch of mates that I've known for years who are also here. So my 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 social life didn't depreciate because I moved. But for a person who's indoorsy and comes over here, you probably could get lonely or homesick really fast.
I see, I see, but you're not really like that. So it's
Nah.
fine. You're outside. You're outside. Okay, cool. So, so, it does it feels like you found a sense of community there, or have you like,
Yeah, I have.
yeah?
Yeah, I have. I have. I mean, we have a bunch. I mean, I was at the barbecue yesterday at someone's house, and there's a whole bunch of us. Everybody, their wives, their kids, food, Nigerian food specifically. You know, so that was a fun night.
That's interesting. Okay, so do you like when's I guess do you plan to go to Nigeria anytime soon to visit? Like, what's your feeling about that one?
Who wants to miss 30 December? I think that answers your question. Who
And
wants
then
to miss
this time
30
you're going
December?
back as a as a foreigner.
I'm still one of the boys. Please, I'm just on a
So
work
you're going
vacation.
to spend euros this time. So that's exciting. Yeah,
Fair enough.
okay,
Fair
sure.
enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
So, okay, so and do you see yourself being there long term actually?
I think I'm just gonna take it one day at a time.
Fair. Fair. You don't know yet.
I don't know yet. One day at a time. Let's do the task we came here for first. Then we'll look at it 360.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So let's maybe talk about you've had a couple of life transitions. So how do you see yourself now, compared to the 16-year-old kid dealing with the loss of his mom and now?
A whole bunch of things, but I'll try to summarize them. I think first and most importantly, come to accept that you really can be more than who you are.
Okay.
So the extent to which that colors your life is really entirely up to you. I've also learned to not give yourself grief for things you can't control. By nature, I'm an overthinker. So I tend to want to have all angles figured out before I do something. But I've learned over time that, you know what, some things just require momentum.
Yeah. Yeah.
You really can't see the end from the beginning. That's God's job. That's not my job. Yeah, take some on some things, know what you want, know where you're going, ask for help, say your prayers, but your job is to move.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
rest is part of the journey. And I think most importantly, I've also learned to allow people to be themselves. I mean, back in primary school, there was this nursery rhyme we used to sing about make new friends but keep the old and all whatnot. But it's life. Some
Yeah.
people some people will provide what you need for a time,
So they're not
and
the permanent fixtures in your life.
they will be permanent fixtures in your life. I need to be okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
That's
know?
true. That's true.
So
That's
I, so I think these are three things that I've seen over time. I mean, every now and then, do I argue with those three? Yeah, probably. But at the center of it all, you can see the wisdom in them.
yeah. And we talked a lot about your career. Are there other things that you would like for yourself in the coming years?
I think the one thing I would like to do is find a new hobby. I think
Okay.
that's actually top of my list. I used to like writing, but over time I realized the muse for my writing was usually personal tragedy. You kind of need to move past that eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think I'm at the point where I'm like, I need something that's actually is less cathartic but more uplifting, like a sport.
Like
I mean,
playing a sport or something.
I'm a, I mean, I'm a bit too old for professional football now, but hey, train little leaguers, learn to play golf or,
Tennis.
or tennis,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that would tickle my fancy a bit more.
Okay. Okay. So do you think you talked about personal strategy just now? Do you think that you're past the personal strategy?
You never really get past the experience of losing someone you love, but what
Yeah.
you do end up doing is recognize that you're still here. So
Yeah.
it's your job
It's your job.
to leave a more interesting story for those who will miss you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. When I asked you that question, I thought you were gonna say, "Oh, marriage, children." This man said a hobby.
No, I mean, marriage is a beautiful thing, but marriage is the beginning of a separate journey with somebody else. It's not some filler for the movie of your life. It's a very intentional decision
Okay.
because apart from you being you and her being her, in my own
Mhm.
case, you're going to start a brand new family and have, in quotes, pipsqueaks like me, who then are going to have their own story. And you need to provide enough guidance and color for their lives. So when they get to my age, they'll be able to say, okay, I had a good experience too. And I'm going to
Right.
take that. And if
Right.
they decide to get married or have kids, pour that into the next set of kids they have.
Okay. So it's a generational attitude, a generational.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's this saying I read recently. It's like you kind of need to be happy to share happiness.
Yeah.
So when people say, "Oh, when you get married, everything will be fine," I'm like, no, it's kind of
No,
my,
no, no.
it's kind of my job to be okay before I get in there. Getting in there doesn't make me okay.
Doesn't make you okay. Yeah. It actually might make you worse. Um, so I guess in that sense, in what ways do you feel that you're still growing then?
Well, every now and then, I realize that I need to unlearn new stuff.
Okay.
Because, I mean, apart from the world evolving, technology, life, you get involved in new circumstances. I mean, it could be a new role, could be a new
Mhm.
culture, and you realize that your scope of understanding is really, really limited. So
Yeah.
you need to create new space to adopt those things into the way you look at the world, the way you process things.
Mhm.
So in terms of growth, I think those are the things that's are pretty paramount. to be
Mm.
honest. Just
Yeah. And I
making
think, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
just making space for new experiences.
Yeah. And I think as, anyone, as you're growing, you're always learning something new. I think that's an important part of it too. So,
Yeah.
okay. And so I'm going to ask you the last question I always ask every guest is what's a song that best describes your life right now and why?
Hmm. I think it would be This Must Be the Place by Talking Heads.
Okay. People always say all these songs that I don't know. I'm like, what song is this? Okay.
You might need to expand your musical
Clearly.
library.
Clearly, I
Yeah.
need to stop listening to only Davido and
Yeah, I mean, I like the song because
yeah.
the song talks about growth, happy
Hmm.
times,
Hmm.
recognizing that life was evolving and still finding the pleasures in it. It's remembering with nostalgia happier moments of the past and also trying to bring them into the present. It's
Hmm.
recognizing that through everything, we're still here
Yeah.
and we're still gonna have a smile on our faces.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Okay. I need to okay, so let me add this to the list of songs I need to go listen to clearly.
Absolutely. You should listen to it. It's a really good song.
Okay, cool. Well, Emeka, thank you so much for being a guest today. I really enjoyed our conversation. Like I said in the beginning, I always find you very thoughtful and wise and ultimately really actually a really kind person. So I'm happy that you graced us with your presence today. And I wish you all the best in Amsterdam. I can't wait for you to be the biggest boy in your company so that you can send me money from time to time.
Why was I waiting for that?
And yeah, so yeah. So thanks for being here. And any last
My
words?
pleasure. Hey, let's take life one day at a time.
Mm-hmm.
You really can't do more than that.
Yeah. Yeah. Big facts. Big facts. Okay. Cool. Thanks for listening, everyone. And we'll catch you on the next episode. Take care.
My pleasure. Bye.